Oh, hey, and welcome back to another episode of Things You'd Like to Ask My 92-year-old Nõna. So how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, dear.
Okay. So let's delve right into it. Last week, I wanted to ask you a couple things about World War II. So, in that fashion, do you remember the ending of World War II?
Yes, I do.
And tell me a little bit about it.
Well, we heard it on the radio, but masses of people. I was working down Salina Street at that time, and masses of people just seemed to roam out of all the buildings. In fact, in Hotel Syracuse, you couldn't possibly go around the perimeter because they were throwing water out of the windows. And people were kissing people, and it was just fantastic. Everybody was crying and laughing, and we were all so waiting for our boys to come home.
Okay. Why were they throwing water out the window?
I have no idea. They probably couldn't find the balloons.
Just chucking water at
Right.
people. Okay. All right. We were actually talking about this a little bit before. You had some things that you wanted to show me about ration cards
That's right.
back in the day.
These are ration booklets.
Okay.
You could not get what was rationed without one of these little stamps in there. What was rationed was butter, sugar, oil, something else too, and I can't remember. Oh, meat.
Okay.
And we were very lucky to have a little grocery store right around the corner from us who knew us, and she'd keep the bread for us. But those are the ration coupons that we had to use in order to get one of these items.
Wow. 1943.
Right.
Goodness. This is pretty crazy. I'll take a picture of it for you guys so you can see afterwards. Well, here you go.
Okay. Also, we were asked to buy war bonds, and we did. We bought quite a few of them, but I saved this one. I don't know if they gave you the money back or not, to tell you the truth. But this is a bond. It's $25,
Okay.
and we bought it to help with the war effort.
That's a Disney bond, I see.
All right.
Solid choice. 1945, August 7th. Wow. This bond presented by Twitch. Who's Twitch?
Me.
You're Twitch? That's your nickname?
My husband called me that because I could never sit still. In fact, on our honeymoon, we went to the Adirondacks, and he was fishing, and I was just reading, and I kept on moving, and he says, if you don't stop, I'm going to throw you, and we were on the fourth lake. Well, evidently, I didn't stop because he picked me up and threw me in the lake.
You know, I've been alive 33 years, and I never knew you were called Twitch. That's pretty funny.
Very few people do, because he never stabbed that on him. Okay.
Okay.
Now, after the war, your Uncle Joseph
Okay.
was a military policeman. And when they brought all these men, Goebbels and all of them, for trial, he sent me the trial memos right here of the jury trials of all those men.
Wow, this is a lot of stuff.
There sure is, and that is only a little bit of it. The whole thing is about this thick.
Wow. I remember hearing something about you could only get gas for your cars on certain days.
That was the other thing that was as ration was gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could only get so much gas. It didn't matter who you were or what you were. You just got so many gallons of gas, and if you ran out, you ran out. And you had a ration book for that, but I don't have a ration book for that one.
So if you ran out of gas, you just had to walk to work?
Evidently.
Wow.
Or you were lucky enough. You know, people were nicer, I will say nicer in those days. Well, we didn't have what you have today, but people would pick you up if you were going down a street and they would see you. They would pick you up and say, hey, where are you going? And
Okay.
if you were going their way, they would pick you up and take you.
So on that note, what was driving like back in the day?
Oh, so easy. So very easy. I remember taking a trip by myself up the Adirondacks. The big truck ahead of me, and he was going slower and slower. Finally, his hand reached out and said, you know, he motioned for me when I could go ahead, or he motioned to me to stop.
Yeah.
They were very, very courteous.
Okay.
At that time. There wasn't the traffic that you see. In fact, we were just out, and I can't believe the traffic here on Sunday.
That was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you, because you mentioned to me earlier that shopping was illegal on the weekends.
On Sundays, you could not shop. It was a law. They called it the Blue Laws.
The blue laws.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It used to be Saturday and Sunday, but I just remember Sunday.
Okay. And this was when you were just a child?
I was a young person, yes.
When did that stop?
I have no idea.
You don't remember? Okay. How much of Syracuse was farmland? We were talking about this earlier too.
Okay, now Westvale was all farmland.
Okay.
Lakeland was just beautiful farmland. Orchard Road and all of, they had, I don't know who planted them, but they had cherry trees and cherry trees and apple trees and pear trees on Orchard Road where they had those lovely homes now.
Yeah.
We used to go biking up there and pick the fruit off the trees. Nobody bothered us.
Okay. Sounds like people were a lot nicer back in the day, in general.
Well, I think so, but they got nice people today also, but unfortunately, it's the people, or the boys and girls and the adults also, who are not as nice, and they bring their baggage with you. They get into the news.
Yeah, I agree. We talked a little bit about the depression last week, and I wanted to ask a follow-up question. What lessons for living did you learn from those experiences?
Depression,
Yes.
to volunteer, to be nice to your neighbors, not to look down at people because they weren't dressed well. I had to use my sister's shoes and her clothes. My sister was only 5'4" and I was 5'9". And I'd say to my mother, I'm taller and I'm bigger than my sister. And she would say, you're younger, you get the clothes marked down to you.
In that fashion, what would you like to tell people that wear their pants too low these days?
I have an experience that I went through. I don't go to Destiny very often, but this was about last year, no, before I got ill. This young man was walking in front of me. He had a pair of pants that were halfway down his backside. I could see the crack in his derriere. And I happened to think, now why does he want this? So when I came back, there was a policeman that was a friend of ours, and I asked him, I says, what do you do with kids like that? He says, don't knock it. He says, we like it when they wear those pants. And I said, you do? He said, yes, because they can't run.
Yeah, I think it's a little ridiculous myself.
Oh, it was terrible. I would not want to see that boy's backside, but evidently he was very proud of it.
Okay.
Next time we talk, can we talk about the conservation energy that they had for the teeners, the boys that were from 18 or 17 on?
Talk about it right now.
I've got some material on that for you if you'd be interested.
Okay.
There were so many boys that couldn't find jobs. So the president, Mrs. Roosevelt really, started what she considered the conservation program, whereby they would take these boys, they would pay them $15 a week, $10 went to their parents. and they would put them all over. Your grandfather joined it, and he worked on the Burnett Avenue. If you've ever gone up Burnett Avenue, there's this wall that goes, he worked on that.
Really?
And they put him in Idaho, and he lived there for a year. They were strict in showing them what to do, and they had to behave themselves or they were shipped back.
Okay.
But that was a very good thing. They learned things. Masonry was what your dad learned, though you never used it. But they built things, and they built things to last.
Yeah, that's something they don't do anymore, that's for sure.
Right, and I have the conservation papers that was needed for him.
Okay. I'll have pictures of all of these things so you can all see how awesome this is a little bit later.